Hi, my name is Ken Colby. I'm the author of Laser Photo Wizard. I created Laser Photo Wizard because I was very unhappy with the output that I was getting from my laser when I tried to engrave a photo. The photos looked very smeary and didn't have much contrast. So it turns out that wood and other substances that you usually engrave on are very low contrast. And so you have to create a high contrast photo to put on them. So the first step in creating a high contrast photo is in the conversion process from color to black and white. And you have some control over how the conversion goes. And so we have these sliders to figure out where you'd like to emphasize. Now, if you're doing a photo, which is of a person, which is what we mostly do, we kind of emphasize the red because we want the red to be a little lighter, but we don't want it to disappear altogether. So that's the first thing you do, you play with the sliders. The second thing is we have these contrast methods, and you can have none or mild and strong and very strong. And you can see that they would create a photo that is easy to recognize, but maybe a little too much contrast. So normally when I engrave, I use the mild contrast. So that improves the contrast enough so that the algorithms can properly digitize the photo. So the next step you have to do is you have to change this photo, which has got what they call grayscale, which means it has many levels of gray, into a photo that's black, pure black and white. Now you could do what's called thresholding, where you cut it at a certain spot, or you can do dithering, where you create a dot pattern that so you have a few dots where the photo is light and many more dots where it's dark. And one of the pioneers of this was Floyd Steinberg, which a lot of the other algorithms basically work off of. And I wanted to, the problem with Floyd Steinberg is it doesn't really take advantage of the knowledge of where the actual darker areas are. It just tries to create a power level or a gray level that's consistent with the original image. And it works pretty well, as you can see, but it's also fairly low contrast. So my first attempt, and it's still a good attempt, is called Colby annealing. And what that does is it uses the same principles, but it tends to use a random number generator to put the pixels closer to where they should be and still maintain the gray level. But again, the only downside of this is it doesn't create a smooth gray output. It creates this sort of noisy output. So in version 11, I created yet another algorithm called Colby Dot Migration. And what that does is it starts with Floyd Steinberg, but then it goes in a second step and starts moving the pixels around, but only in areas that it needs to. So this one creates a high contrast output and also smooth skin. So it's really great, and I think you'll really enjoy using this algorithm to improve your photos. Now the other thing that we can do is we can look at the edges of the photo and create a sketch. So that's not the same as dithering, it's looking at edges and creating a sketch. And so this is the new output in version 11. You can see it's pretty clean, got a few dots. But we've increased, well, we have these advanced settings now. This thing's called the despeckle level, and I've always had it, but this one works a lot better. So if we turn it off, you can see there's a lot of little dots where there was just enough blemish to create an edge. And this actually filters those out. So if we do a little, or maybe even a little more, we get rid of all the tiny dots. There you go. So now we have a very clean output. We also added in other versions a smooth sketch mode that works well. And this creates a very stylized image. Now again, why spend so much time on sketches? Well, some of the newer lasers, they don't have a lot of power, and it's very hard for them to create good grayscale images. But the beauty of this type of image is it's very easy to engrave. It's basically just on or off. So it'll engrave on any material. It'll engrave pretty much with any laser. Okay. If you really still want to have some gray level in it, you can combine the sketch with the Colby annealing and get sort of a compromise between the two. So show up here in a second. There you go. So again, very easy to engrave if that's kind of what you want. So this is really how Laser Photo Wizard started. Very quickly, we have a bunch of special effects. We can do overlays, like we could load a fancy frame, or we could load a globe. And things of that nature. We can add text. I won't show that, but basically you can put text of any form, anywhere. And we have an effect. We use a smooth effect to smooth the skin out so that we don't get some of these dots, mainly in the sketch mode. But this is probably the most popular one, frame. And we go back to the Floyd Steinberg just because it's fast. So we can add a frame, and we use this to cut the image out. We can also add a second frame. And we have a lot of framing options. It can be oval, it can be square. You can change the color. Okay. So that's framing. And of course, so that's pretty much it for the images. We have a lot of adjustments that I didn't go into: brightness, rotation, scaling. One other thing worth mentioning is that we have an editor, so that you can copy parts of something. So you set an anchor tag, and so you can kind of make things brighter. But really, where the editor really shines is when you're in sketch mode, because it's very easy to edit a sketch. Get rid of any unwanted items, like this little clef here. Okay, maybe that one, this one. So the point is, you can do a lot with the editor in sketch mode, and you can use the editor if you're careful and clone in the normal mode. So that's it for working with the photos. Well, one of the things I got into is I said, well, I'd really like to use these photos as GIFs, and after you've given a few away, you want to do something else. So I created a bunch of generators, and this is a box generator, so you really can create all kinds of boxes. You have to take a look at the help files, and in fact, I'll look at that here. So this just shows you some of the kinds of things you can do. So you can create these boxes that are like double boxes. You can create cubes. You can create trays. I've been making tea boxes and candle holders and all kinds of stuff with the box generator. Birdhouse the same way. It's probably easier to show you some of the stuff from the help files. But these are the kinds of bird boxes that you can make. And you can create any dimensions, any size. And they just get cut out and put in. But my favorite of all is the connected text generator. So you can put a little edge around it, and if you expand that edge out, you don't even need a base. So you have a choice of a base or an edge. And so it's showing you that here. So this is starting off with a base and an edge. Here it made the edge so large that you don't even need a base to connect them. So there's lots of variations you can do with the text. We'll probably be adding other generators in the future, particularly if this sells well. If you've had any issues with Laser Photo Wizard or you'd like to see a feature added, please contact me at support@greenscreenwizard.com. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoy this video.